Douglas Allen Bickford. It is the 29th of June, 2022 at about 8 a.m. here, Pacific Standard Time in Klamath Falls, Oregon, which is my hometown. Broadcasting live from my 105-year-old house here. Teaching you on Facebook and YouTube, all my friends out there, to be positive and how you can be positive about yourself, about your world, and about you and you, okay? And the way to do that is for you all to attain self-esteem, and it comes out of a book, The Portable Therapist. But what self-esteem is, it's how you feel about yourself inside. It's also known as self-love, self-confidence, self-worth. Here's how you can think about what self-esteem even is. Most people don't even know what the two words even mean because nobody's teaching it and nobody's ever taught you it, okay? So what it is and what it means is we've all been in romantic relationships. You know how you have that good feeling when you first meet these people and they can do no wrong and you're bragging to all your friends and family and you guys are soulmates, okay? You're going to die together. You're never going to separate. You're vowing all this stuff to each other and tell all your family friends the same thing, right? Well, that's what self-esteem is towards yourself, that same good feeling. Dr. Susanna McMahon, 73, lives in Madrid, Texas with her husband, has a degree, doctorate in psychology, makes her a psychiatrist, also has a master's in philosophy. Has had thousands of clients as a therapist, a psychiatrist, a counselor for many years of her life. Wrote this book called The Portable Therapist in the 90s. It was published in 1992. Every chapter, they're not chapters, I call them lessons, they're in question form. Every lesson in this book talks about how we've been taught and trained not to love ourselves, not to have self-esteem. Okay, came from all the televisions, radios and the paper print and the churches, the state governments, okay? So people would hire her as a psychiatrist to fix their unhealthy minds. That's what psychiatrists do. They go to school for 10 years to become, to study the science of the mind, which is the way the mind operates, okay? It's actually computer in your brain with feelings, okay? So anyway, she knew her clients didn't have self-esteem. And the only way to get a healthy mind is to attain and maintain self-esteem. So she had to come up with a way to tell her clients to do so they could give themselves self-esteem. Nobody can give you self-esteem except for you, yourself, and you. I can't give it to you. She couldn't give it to her clients. So she came up with a concept. It's called mirror therapy, and here it is. So her clients could get a healthy mind, so get self-esteem, and so she could fix their unhealthy minds. You look at yourself in the mirror and say 4 things to yourself. I love you. I love my inner child. I'm worthy to be loved. I'm worthy to love. I am full of goodness. Those 4 things to yourself in the mirror daily without fail will give you self-esteem. And you have to say it daily, and here's the reason why. Because it's to attain and maintain self-esteem. It's like lifting weights. If you stop lifting weights, you have to start over from scratch, okay? It's the exact same thing for the brain. So you have to practice it daily. So you have to say those 4 things to yourself in the mirror every day for the rest of your life, period. And that way you'll get self-esteem, and then you'll maintain it, okay? You'll instantaneously get it. When you say that to yourself in the mirror. And and the reason she came up with mirror therapy as a psychiatrist, she knows how the brain functions, is because we cannot lie to ourselves in the mirror. So that's why you can very easily, a psychological event happens in your brain, and she knows it, that you can't say something that you don't believe about yourself. So you can't lie to yourself in the mirror. So you can very easily get in front of the mirror every day. We're all in front of the mirror. And very easily criticize yourself whether you think it or do it, because that's how you feel about yourself. Okay? You can't lie to yourself in the mirror by saying those 4 good things to yourself in the mirror, or any good things to yourself in the mirror, because you can't lie to yourself in the mirror because you don't feel that way about yourself. Okay? So, the very first time you do it, folks, you'll have to force yourself to do it. And then the more you say it to yourself, the more you feel it, and the more you believe it. And the very first time, folks, it'll seem very strange and awkward. It's just like me telling you to do it. Seems very weird, right? But it works. It worked on me. It can work on you, too, if you do it and you keep doing it. Here's the reason that attaining and maintaining self-esteem is so important. You cannot be content without it. And what content means is you feel good about how, where, and what you are. It's also known as internal peace. There are 11 things that you are using out there to try to be content. They are Facebook, drugs, alcohol, sex, television, gambling, food, religion, another person, material possessions, or money. Those 11 things are known as externals. They're outside of yourself. Okay? They will make you feel content temporarily, but it's never permanent. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The alcohol buzz goes away. The caffeine buzz goes away. So does the drug high. Okay? So you have to do more of drugs and alcohol just to keep that good feeling going, right? And then all the other 9 things are exactly the same thing, okay? Including the like on Facebook. You get a adrenaline rush, serotonin rush when somebody likes your post. So you have to make new posts and get the same feel good. Okay? It's always temporary, and all know what I'm talking about. The absolute only thing that will give you permanent contentness is to say the 4 things to yourself in the mirror daily without fail the rest of your life. I love Douglas Allen Bickford. I love my inner child. I'm worthy to be loved. I'm worthy to love. I'm full of goodness. Those 4 things to myself in the mirror daily, it'll do it to you too, will give you self-esteem and make you permanently content and give you inner peace. It's happened to me. I never had it. I've had it for well over a year now. Okay? Because I continue to practice those 4 things to myself in the mirror daily. And the other reason it's so vital that you get self-esteem is you can't love without it. You can't be loved. So what happens in romantic relationships? You'll attract somebody just like you, somebody without it. Okay? And then after that good feeling goes away and you move in and all the stuff starts happening in the relationship, right? The fights, the arguments start, the cheating, the drug and alcohol use, the going to bars, picking up people, flirting right in front of your significant other with other people, you know, and the whole thing just becomes toxic, okay? And then because that relationship turned bad, both people will go jump in another relationship, and the exact same thing will happen because you jumped in another one without attaining self-esteem and maintaining it, okay? Then the second thing that'll happen, people got together with no self-esteem. There goes Bubbles. Okay, Bubbles. The 2 people will just stay in that toxic relationship forever, and that's because they don't want to be a failure. They are codependent on each other for whatever reason. They can't be alone. They're afraid to be an embarrassment to all their family and friends. And then they're afraid to leave. Okay. They have nowhere to go, right? So they stay stuck in that forever. And then all the emotional, physical, and sexual abuse that happens between those 2 people, and they pass on to their children, will just all get swept under the rug. And then that becomes a dysfunctional family. And then dysfunctional families produce more dysfunctional families down the line, and then all the emotional sexual abuse from the dysfunctional family that they produced all gets swept under the rug, and the cycle just continues. And the very last thing that will happen is two that got together with no self-esteem is the two will just go, boom, I'm out. I am done with romantic relationships. Can't find anybody to love me. I can't find anybody to love. What is going on? So they'll just use the 11 things to try to be happy, even though they're just as miserable as they were in that relationship. They're just not fighting and arguing with somebody. Okay? So they just exit out of that romantic scene, and then a lot of times they'll quit taking care of themselves too, because they can't find anybody to love them, and they can't find anybody to love. They'll quit shaving as a man and quit putting makeup on as a woman, and just go out and, they don't care anymore. Okay. So I have the solution, the cure for all those scenarios. The people that are in toxic relationships, the people that are all alone, miserable out there, don't even know why you're miserable. And you're miserable because you don't have self-esteem. You can't be content without it. Okay? So the cure is the 4 things to yourself in the mirror daily, all parties, and then get the book, and everybody go through the book together if you're in a toxic relationship. And if the person that you're with doesn't want to change and wants to continue just to live in that thing, and you want to change, then it'll give you the power to get out. Okay, give you the self-confidence you need to walk away from that toxic relationship. Okay, so I am teaching one lesson from the book at a time, and here's that next lesson. I have been for over a year. And it's the absolute only reason I'm on live Facebook and I am on YouTube doing this. I am doing it for no other reason but to help you learn how to be positive by attaining and maintaining self-esteem. Now here's that next lesson. Lesson 43. Why am I so angry? Anger is one of the most basic and also most important emotions. It is necessary for survival as the feeling often generates the necessary strength to do the things to protect ourselves that we normally could not do. Anger is also necessary in the infant's development of a sense of self as distinct from others. Everyone has anger. Why then is this important emotion so difficult for people to deal with? Why does anger produce so much denial of the feeling and so much fear? The answer is, once again, this is what you're talking about, that training we've been taught and trained, right? Goes back to our training, brainwashing, right? We have been taught since we were little that being angry is bad and that other people do not like us when we're angry. We learn that most of our anger is unjustified, as if feelings need justification, and that we have no right to be angry and we must consider the other person's feelings before we consider ourselves. We have learned as children to deny our feelings of anger and to repress them so that we will not be labeled as bad. If we cannot deny or repress the anger and we let it out, then we feel guilty and have to make justifications for our feelings. We have learned, usually before the age of 5, that anger produces a vicious trap. If you express it, we are bad. If we repress it, it grows into a rage, and we are bad. And if we deny it, we learn not to trust that our own feelings, and that feels bad. What is the solution to this anger trap? Question mark. Give yourself permission to feel angry. You cannot control your feelings of anger. You do not always know when and why and how you will feel angry. Sometimes you feel angry without knowing why. And sometimes when you expect to feel angry, you do not. Anger lives inside of you along with your other feelings. Accept that you feel angry, but do not confuse the feeling of anger with the expression of anger. You cannot control the feeling of anger, but you can control what you choose to do when you are angry. Our training has taught us to confuse the feeling of anger with the anger behaviors that we exhibit. Most of us are afraid of what we do when we are angry. We have repressed and denied our anger until it explodes and we are in a rage. We then act in a destructive manner to others and to ourselves. Accepting the angry feeling as it occurs means that we do not accumulate the feelings until they become rage. Often, accepting our anger as it occurs is enough. Remember, we do not always have to act on our feelings and our thoughts. We can choose what we will do, and we have a wide variety of choices. Practice saying to yourself when you feel angry, I am angry. What can I do with this feeling? What can I do about this? How can I feel okay with my anger? Sometimes you choose to express it to others. Sometimes you may choose to think about it for a while before you act on it. Sometimes you may want to yell and get upset, and sometimes you may want to calmly let it out. And once in a while, you may choose to let go and do nothing about it. There is no one right way to act when angry. Any behavior you choose is right as long as you take responsibility for it and you feel all right with yourself. If you cannot get past your anger and let it go, ask for help. Most of the time, recognizing that you are angry at the moment you feel it and accepting your feeling without judgment is enough for the feeling to abate. Just as you cannot control your feelings cannot control you unless you choose to let them. Wow, there's another very powerful lesson for you folks. I'm going to have another one for you tomorrow, which is lesson 44. Why do I feel that I'm out of control? I can be your mentor when you start going through this change. When you start saying those 4 things to yourself in the mirror daily without fail. I have confidence that you're going to do it. Call me anytime, day or night, 458-232-5238. I can encourage you along the way in your new way of living with self-esteem. You all have a great day out there on this Wednesday. I'll be talking to you tomorrow.